Hi everyone, Elsie Jensen here. Today we are going to cook up some bagels for lunch, make some Chex Mix, and prep some pasta dough for dinner tonight. So for our bagels, we shaped them this morning. They are sourdough bagels. We made the dough last night and they've been nice and rising. So now we are going to boil them in a honey bath. So I have my water that's to a nice boil, and we're going to add about a third cup of honey to our bath here, and we're going to boil the donut, or not the donuts, the bagels in a honey bath, and that is going to give them a nice rich color on them when we bake them up. I do have my oven preheated to 425 degrees. I'm just giving this a nice stir. And what we're going to do is we are going to boil each bagel for about 30 seconds on each side. So I'm just going to carefully lift them off as best I can. I've got one. I'm going to do about two at a time. And we're going to boil them. We got a little big. There we go. For about 30 seconds on each side. That's going to give you that nice, like, delicious crust on a bagel. You know how it's a bit chewy and it locks in the moisture. So it's a really important step into bagels. Otherwise, you're just getting a roll if you were to bake it up without that. So we're going to pop them over. And when they come out, they always look a little dimply, but when you bake them up, they rise and then they don't look as dimply. But it is crucial for the delicious crust on the bagel to boil them. So, and you want to do about 30 seconds on each side, and then you want to use a slotted spoon to pick them up out of the water. So, I'm gonna move this guy and carefully put him back on. He was my really big one. And then hopefully you can get this guy off. They're sticking to me a little bit today. Must be a little bit more humid in here. And this is straight up made, stuck together with our sourdough things. There's no yeast in it. It's just a straight up sourdough recipe that we made last night and we mixed together. It's super simple. It's just sugar, water, active starter, and flour. And you mix up the dough and then you let it sit overnight. And then this morning during our breakfast stream, we shaped up our bagels into their nice little shape after dividing up our dough. And then you let them rise again to get nice and kind of big and bulky. And that just gives you that nice kind of beautiful crumb inside our things. And then when we're done boiling these, we are going to put the seasonings on them. We're going to do a cheddar green onion. I have enough everything bagel to do one everything bagel. We're going to do a cinnamon crunch, and then we're going to have a couple plain, and then a Parmesan and oregano. There we go. I'll get this one out. And pull this one up. They are not wanting to come off my parchment paper today. There we go. Got one in. Get one more. I wonder if my house is a little bit warmer today and that's why they rose up a bit more. You know, with sourdough, the temperature of your house can make such a big difference. It means, like, if you have a warmer house, you need to feed your starter more often. You have a shorter bulk fermentation time. And it's something as simple as just the temperature of your house can make a huge difference in your sourdough cooking. So like in the summer, you don't need to like proof your bread as long because it's fat. When it's warmer, the bacteria in sourdough is much more active. Okay, while that one is boiling, we're gonna do one with the everything bagel. So I've just got a little bit here, so I'm just gonna sprinkle this one right on top. I had just a little bit. I'm gonna give a nice kind of push around. We made some couple the other day, and those were like the first ones that were gone. Okay. Get this one out. See if we can make room right there. The nice thing is when you pull these out of the water, they are sticky, so the seasonings really stick onto the bagel well. There's one, last one going in. Okay, so we have enough for one everything bagel. Then we are going to do a delicious Parmesan. And so I'm going to do a nice kind of big layer of Parmesan, and we're going to sprinkle it with some oregano. The Parmesan and oregano work really well together. So not quite an Italian herbs and cheese, but similar. Flip this guy over. I'm going to flip that one over. And then we're going to do a cheddar cheese one. Do that one right here. So I'm going to just do a nice little pile of the cheese on it. Trying to give my bagels enough room to bake here. There we go. And okay, I'm gonna let them breathe just a little bit. Try to get as much room between each one. We're done with our honey water. And so I've got my cheddar cheese on this one. And we are going to cut some green onions on it. Let me grab my scissors right over here. And I do have my oven preheated to 425 degrees. And we're going to cook these for about 22 minutes. We've got some green onions. And we're going to do another cheddar cheese and green onion. You could use chives as well if you wanted. Those are, a little bit smaller, but have a lovely flavor as well. And then for our cinnamon crunch one, we're going to just use some room softened butter. Don't need much. So we're just going to take it, and I'm going to put about a tablespoon in here. And we're going to use some cinnamon about, let me get this lid on there. Almost came off when we're pouring it. We're going to put just about a half a teaspoon of cinnamon. You don't need much. I'm going to get a little spoon here for my brown sugar. And this is going to be the cinnamon crunch. If you've ever had the Panera like cinnamon crunch bagels, this is what it's going to kind of taste reminiscent of. So we've got our cinnamon there, and we need about a little bit of flour. And what you want to do is we're going to use our fingers, and we're going to just smush this together to make a nice little cinnamony crumble on it. So that's why you want to use room temperature butter. Otherwise, it just won't smush well together. So use your fingers, get in there. You're almost kind of like you're making a streusel topping for these bagels, but it is delicious. I'll tell you that. It's one of my favorite bagels that I make because it gives you that sweet little sugar crunch on the top of your bagel, but it's like kind of almost turns to like a little bit of like a candy. It's nice. That's why it gives you that nice crunch flavor. Okay, we've got it here. Let me get it up, and now we're just going to sprinkle, get some of this crumb. It's stuck to my fingers, but no worries. I'm going to put it off on there. Get all of it. That one's a big one. So we're going to put a lot on there. And then we're going to leave a couple plain because my kids absolutely love the plain ones as well. Let me get this nice, all this crunch off of it. And then I'm going to give my hands a quick wash, and we're going to pop these in the oven for about 22 minutes. And the cinnamon crunch one, the butter will melt to the side and ooze over the edge. Same with the cheese ones, and they'll be just delicious. Okay. Get a nice bit of soap. Gotta get that butter off. And now we're gonna pop these in the oven. And like I said, The bagels always look a little dimply now, but when they bake up, just like with homemade pretzels, they smooth out. So I have my oven at 425. I'm going to slide those in there, and I'm going to set my timer for 22 minutes. I will say they take between 20 and 25 minutes. I find my oven right around 22, 23 minutes is perfect, but everyone's oven is a little bit different. Okay, we're done with our honey water here. So I'm going to put it into the sink. And now we are going to prep and make the sauce for our Chex Mix. So growing up, I feel like every class party, it was Chex Mix and Puppy Chow. That's what we call and some people call it Muddy Buddies or whatnot. But, that it's just like this savory one where I just love the flavors. And so we're starting out by melting in a stick of butter for our seasoning. So once that starts getting melted, we're going to add some Worcestershire sauce, some onion powder, garlic salt, and Lowry seasoning salt to it. And those savory mixes is what's going to flavor up our Chex. So you need a big bowl for this. So I've got a pretty big bowl right here. And we are going to do about 4.5 scoops of each one. So 4.5 cups of each one. And we're doing just the Chex because that is what my kids love the best, like the straight up Chex. Now, sometimes we'll go bougie and we'll add some cashews in it, bugles, and Frito-Lay, like the Fritos. Those, I feel like they taste great in here. But today we are just going to go plain Jane. This is a 1.5 cup scoop. So I'm just going to do 3 scoops of each one in here. And I'm doing the corn Chex and the rice Chex because those are my favorite. I find like the wheat Chex is a little, they don't cook up quite as nice. So we've got that's 4.5 cups of that. And the nice thing is the rest, we're going to make a puppy chow with them coming one day. Where you melt chocolate and peanut butter together, and then you pour it over it, and then you coat it with powdered sugar. Puppy chow is delicious. But today we're just going to do our thing. So now we're going to do the same thing. 4.5 cups of the rice Chex. So 1, doesn't have to be exact, 2, and 3. And again, this is a 1.5 cup scoop. Actually, I have my mom got me them one day. They're like random measurements. So it's like a 3/4 cup, thing. I'm like, it's such a random thing, but it is nice when you're doing something big, There. We've got our butter melting here. So now that it's melting, I'm going to add in some of our spices. Let's get our things out. We're going to start by adding in 2 teaspoons of Lowry seasoning salt. This is the key. You got to use Lowry's. It has some lovely flavors to it. So 1 and 2. Then we're going to add in 1 teaspoon of garlic salt. There's that. Put my little shaker back on it. And then you want a tablespoon of onion powder. And this is where you're going to get that really savory flavor comes through. It is the best. I just got to make sure I can get nice good. So we're going to have our onion powder in there and 2 tablespoons of Worcestershire sauce. But before I put that in there, I'm just going to give this a good stir. There we go. I'm going to turn down my heat just a little bit. You could always do this in the microwave, but I find it works really well on the stovetop because I feel like the heat helps bring those seasonings out. And then we're going to add 2 tablespoons of Worcestershire.
Another fan of the garlic salt?
Yes, that's where you're at. It adds a whole nother flavor profile over just plain salt. It just makes everything taste better, and I love it. It's just now we're gonna add in our things, and we're gonna give it a good stir. Just make sure everything's mixing up. I have like a clump of onion powder that is stuck together, so I want to make sure I smush it. And this is going to it's going to give you that really great flavor on top of our Chex. Now the trick with Chex is you can't rush it. You got to bake it on low for about an hour, and every 15 minutes you got to stir it around, and this is going to make it all crispy and delicious in flavor. So I bake it at 250 on parchment paper, and you got to spread it out so that it has plenty of room to breathe. And that's what's going to make it so delicious. It gets crisped up. If you don't do it for the whole hour, then it gets chewy. And you don't want chewy Chex Mix. You want nice, crunchy Chex Mix. So here, what I'm going to do, let me turn off my burner here. We're going to pour this over. Give it a nice stir. And then I'm just going to pour as I stir and coat it. You want to use a big bowl. That way it gets coated evenly versus just, in the middle. There we go. Perfect. Let me put this in the sink. And we really want to coat this up.
You have a question? Did you bake the pepperoni bread yet?
I'm baking that up tonight. So I have it proofing in my fridge right now, doing that kind of that cold proof. And so it will be ready tonight to bake up and we'll be doing that with our dinner stream tonight. Okay, let's get. So we got it nice and coated. You want to make sure you get all those little things stirred around. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take our baking sheet. This is a sheet and a half. And you want to line it with the baking, like with parchment paper. Otherwise, your things can stick to it. There we go. I'm going to spread it out. And, hey, Teddy, you want to help me cook? Yeah, you want to help? You want to get your little thing? You want Evie to help too? Well, you can go get Evie if you want her to. We're going to spread our Chex Mix out. There we go. And here, you want to make sure you don't put it too much on top of each other. So we're going to spread it right here. And then I'm going to get my other baking sheet. And we're going to line it with our parchment paper as well. There we go. Put it out here. And this is one of my kids' favorite snacks. It always goes away so fast. But it tastes so much better than like the Chex Mix that you buy from the store because it has so much more flavor. And then we're going to scrape all of this out. There we go. And we're going to spread it out. And the trick is, you don't want to overcrowd everything. So you want it to get nice and even. Perfect. There we go. And then we have it all spread out. I'm going to pop it in my oven right here at 250 degrees. And what we're going to do is every 15 minutes, you take it out, you stir it around, and then you put it back up. This is to make sure it doesn't crisp up or burn on one side, but stays nice and crunchy and delicious. So I'm checking at 3. So in about 15 minutes, what I'll do is I'll stir it around and hey guys. Teddy wants to help cook. We are making some pasta dough. Okay, so here we're going to make our pasta dough next. So I'm just going to clean up a little bit of this area. How's your leg feeling? Better? Good. She got hurt playing soccer yesterday and she's been resting all day. Her knee's a little bit swollen. I'm hoping it's nothing. We're going to be over here, bud. Okay. We're going to make our pasta dough for tonight's dinner. You guys ready for that? Yeah, you can climb up there. Got all of my grain. We're going to use our sourdough discard. And do you want to rest, or you can rest if you want to. You don't have to be out here. Yeah, you're going to be right there. That is flour, buddy. Are you going to help me? We're going to make our pasta dough. You're going to help me scoop in just a second. Yeah. Okay. What we're going to start out with is 200 grams of sourdough discard. You ready? Want to use the spoon? Those are eggs. Oh, we got it on our ounces, so we need to put it on grams. There we go. You want to use the spoon? We're going to pour it in there. And that's right. We need to get 200 grams. This is a great recipe to use up a lot of discard. There we go. We have 200 grams of our sourdough. Yeah, you want to stir it? You can stir it. Perfect. And then while you stir it, I'm going to crack in 4 eggs. So we want all of that eggs in there. You can pop them with your thing because the eggs are going to give, that's what you need for your pasta dough to give it that nice, rich, velvety flavor. I will say the sourdough discard makes the pasta dough so elastic. It's so smooth. I don't ever have stiff pasta when I use discard. I don't know if it's the fermentation of it that makes my pasta so much more velvety, but I absolutely love it. Good job. I'm going to use my little whisk here. We want to whisk it together. Perfect. Woo. Now you just want to make sure that your sourdough or your discard is completely mixed with your eggies. And it's going to give you, we're going to show. It's going to give you a nice, rich, yellow covered liquid. Or for it, that's what you want. Okay. Now we got to take this out because now we need to add in some flour. Yeah. Yes, this is going to make the pasta dough really nice. So you need 500 grams of, you want to scoop it in? Okay, let me help you and you can dump it. Of unbleached all-purpose flour. So we've got 100 and some. Okay, can you scoop this one in for Mama? There you go. We're at 294. We're going to mix it in just a second. We got to get to 500. A little bit more. Ready? Perfect. Now, it's going to be sticky right now. We're going to mix it up, and then we got to knead it together. That's where your help can come in. You want to use your spoon? Okay. Help me. We don't need our scale anymore. That's all your dough consists of. Hardly any ingredients, just egg, sourdough discard, and flour. And we're going to mix it together here. And it's going to form kind of a shaggy dough. That's where you got to put a little bit of your elbow grease. Your elbow grease in to knead it together into a nice, lovely dough. And then you're going to let it sit on the counter. You want to let it sit in the flour to hydrate. So I always make my pasta dough a couple hours before I'm ready to use it. Yeah, no, this isn't a good dough to eat. This is for pasta. This isn't like cookie dough. Okay, you ready? We're gonna knead it together. So we're gonna pull it out. Get all of it. You want to get all of this crumblies. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna smush it together. Yeah, here, I'm gonna give you a ball. You smush that and knead that together. Perfect. So just like this, smush and knead. So you're going to work until all of it is incorporated into the dough. And this is the trick is for soft, velvety, smooth pasta is you've got to do the work. And the work is you've got to knead it a lot. The more you knead it, Evie, I think, went back to her room. Remember, she hurt her knee, so she needs a little bit of rest. Yeah. So then we're going to knead it there. And so the dough starts out drier in the beginning, but the more you knead it and the longer it sits, it rehydrates it. And you want that because you don't want a super sticky dough. Otherwise, it's going to be hard to roll out.
Yeah.
There we go. You see how we're working it here? You want to add it in there? Good job.
Yeah, my
In there. And so my trick is you want to knead the dough for about 15, or well, not fully 15 minutes, but what I do is I let it sit and hydrate, and then I knead. So I do like 3 minutes of kneading, then I let it sit and hydrate, and then I do 5 minutes of kneading, and then I let it sit and hydrate, and then I do another like 5 minutes. And that gives you just the perfect velvety soft, and then you just let it sit. There, yes, okay. Now with the kneading, what you want to do is you're really pushing it in, and then you're stretching it. And as you're doing that, you're breaking up the natural like gluten in it. Yeah. There we go. Are you ready? Can you help me knead that? Knead it really well for me. While you do that, let me check. We have a few more minutes left on that. Okay, good job. So you got our kneading there.
Yeah.
Perfect. Now, what can you knead that? We used this morning, we used both of our sour. We used this sourdough discard, and we used our starters. So every time I use them, I like to feed them. So now they're about halfway empty, and I need to feed them up because we're baking up our loaf of sourdough tonight. So I want to start another one this evening so it will be ready in a day or two. You keep kneading that. You're doing good work, Teddy. So when I am feeding my starter, so in order to bake a loaf, you have to have a nice active starter. So I can feed it and it will be ready to make a loaf of bread tonight. I like to give mine 10 tablespoons of flour and then 10 tablespoons of water.
You know the drill, guys.
Yes, got to help me count because I always lose place. You're going to help me, Teddy? 1. Yeah. 2.
Yeah, what's that?
3.
See a P up in.
4. 5.
No.
I know. 6. 7.
10.
8. 9. What? 10. Oh, that's fine. I don't. It's always like a guesstimate. You know what I mean? It's no one. You ready to do this one?
Yeah.
Plus, you don't know if there's a pocket in there. 1.
Yeah.
2. 3. 4. 5. Yeah, 6. You're gonna keep kneading it for me. 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, so we have 10 scoops of flour in there, so 10 tablespoons. A tablespoon is 15 milliliters, so what I'm going to add in is then 150 milliliters of water. That way I don't have to do 10, count my 10 out, because if we had to do that, take forever. Recommend when you are baking. I actually got these with my plastic tubs that I store all my flours in. They have both the metric system, so the milliliters, the US customary, and the ounces. They work great, especially if you're going to bake. So we're going to put in 150 because that way we don't have to count out. And I've done the flour with it and things, but the problem is you have to really make sure your flour doesn't get have a gap in it. So I just like to do the 2 scoops. We've got, and in each one, let me go wash my spatula here, and then we're going to stir it up. And this is going to give our starter its food. So the flour is like the sugar. The glucose in the flour is what feeds the active bacteria in your starter, which is what is going to cause your bread to rise since sourdough does not use it. You're doing a great job kneading there. Yeah?
Yeah.
Are you my super kneader? Yeah. I will say, kids are great to help out. I'm probably going to have to do a little extra kneading on that dough. And then we're going to stir it up. And then what I'm going to do, because this jar, my thin, skinny jar, is a little high, I'm going to add it to my big jar. Because if you have never fed your sourdough it grows. So, and the growing happens from the like natural byproduct of the bacteria eating the flour, like the glucose, and it lets off a natural gas. That's the process of leavening your bread. And so it will get nice and big.
Mama.
So we're gonna add a little. It did. We're gonna knead that back together. So we're gonna add a little bit in here. You don't have to mix it to where it's perfectly smooth. I leave big clumps in there because guess what? They're gonna eat it up no matter what. And then you're gonna put your cheesecloth back over it, and you let it sit on your counter, and it will be ready to make. Let's get these all kneaded up. Let me help you knead this one more time, okay?
Yeah.
So we're gonna push. Thank you for helping me. Are you my super helper?
Yeah.
So we're gonna knead it into a nice ball. As you can see, it's already starting to get more tender, and the flour is starting to hydrate, so it's not nearly as dry of a dough.
Flour grody.
Yeah, that's right. So we've got it kneaded. Perfect.
Flour.
And you want to do the elbow grease.
Now freeze me.
Here.
Whoa. Whoa.
Perfect.
Go.
So I'll let you can let do. And then what I'll do is in a few minutes, I will re-knead that again and hydrate. But I believe our bagels are just about ready to come out of the oven. That is what we're having for lunch today. So let's go. They've got about 20 seconds left. You good there, Mr. T? Yeah. You keep kneading that for me, okay? So, let me grab the high chair out of the way. Beautiful. So here are our sourdough bagels. Cancel that off. Perfect. So they're nice and hot out of the oven. Yeah, so don't touch this tray, buddy. It's really hot. So we have for our bagels, again, this is our everything bagel. The seasoning sits on. I'm going to just pick it up. They are hot, but I can show you how you've got a nice little bagel crust on the bottom. These are our cheddar and green onions. This was our Parmesan and oregano. This was our cinnamon crunch, and these are our regular bagels. Let me cut open to one so you guys can see the inside of our bagel. They're a little bit hot. Yeah, you kneading my dough for me?
Yeah.
We'll pull up this guy. This is what you're going to see. They're just absolutely delicious. And you can put your cream cheese on them. So you just have nice, tender, hot, moist, delicious bagel ready for cream cheese on it. Well, guys, thank you so much for joining us here today. And joining me and Teddy, Chef Teddy over here. We made our bagels. We baked up our bagels. We prepped our pasta dough for dinner tonight. We fed our starter, and we made our Chex mix. I'll pull that Chex mix out real quick if you guys want to see the first stage of our stirring up. But again, guys, don't forget to like and subscribe. So we've got our first one. So you see how it's dried out a little bit, and it's really hot, buddy, so don't touch it. All you're going to do is you're going to go through. You're going to move it around. You want to do this every 10 to 15 minutes for an hour because it's going to dry out our things. So again, guys, don't forget to like and subscribe, and feel free to message us or tell us if you have any questions about cooking. And I like to show you every day what we're making for our family, because really I'm just cooking what I'm cooking for my family, but I like to show you guys in here. Nothing we do is extra. It's just what we're eating here. Dinner tonight, let's see. We will probably, what time is it? We'll probably around, 7:30, 8 for dinner. Before, we kind of had a late breakfast, so a late lunch. So I don't think anybody's going to be hungry until closer to that time. Well, guys, thank you so much for joining us. Don't forget to like and subscribe.